I hope you have completed the assignment. I've got one submission only from the team. Anyway, so yeah, Akansha, you're done. I'm sure because you sent me the submission, right? So if not done, please don't worry. Try to complete it by in 2 3 days. That's okay. Okay. You must have used Saturday and Sunday because every Saturday and Sunday is a holiday for you. I mean, at least for these classes. In that time, like from 7 to 8, if you sit and work on the assignments, they will be done. It's a quite easy task only. All right. So one thing to one thing to make it clear, one thing to make everything clear to you. Learning depends not on how well I teach. Okay, the use that you have to. I mean, the results that you want to get out of this course, you will not get them because because of my teaching. You'll only get them if you keep on practicing and exploring the topic that I complete. Okay, completing a topic directly means that will give you the understanding about it. You're supposed to build. You are supposed to build everything around it by exploring the other useful scenarios around the topic. Right. Right. With that said, I honestly suggest you to complete the assignments. Honest suggestion. I also suggest you to go through the concept once it is done. If you can spare just 30 minutes after the session to just look into what is being dealt with and practice what is being explained. Then, if you get some time, additional time, maybe in the evening, or maybe sometime for every 2 days, if you can give one more hour, you can explain. I mean, you can explore more on the same topic, right? Okay, plan your day accordingly. I'm not giving you your day plan because I'm not sure how many of you are working, how many of your students. I'm not sure. So you might be having your own plans, but be with a plan. Okay, consistently work on that. You can consistently start working, and you'll see very good progressive results. So today we are going to start networking concepts. So we'll see how we can do networking. We'll do one project. We'll do one complete project. Okay. Right. Okay. So the first application that we are going to do is maybe after the application. Today I'm not sure if we can start off this project or not, but I'm just creating it. We'll call it Google Books. Okay. Google Books. So in batch 15, I want to create this. Hit and finish to create this one. So this uh, project is responsible to get the list of books that you are searching for. You will give a search tab, or you will give a search a text box and a search button. When the user enters, let us say Android, we should get all relevant books from Google Books library. Okay, only fetching is involved. However, this also comes under networking. So we shall see what is the concepts that are involved behind the networking right away. So first of all, when we want to do networking, first of all we should understand what is a thread. What is a thread? Okay. So a thread is an independent path of an executing program. Okay. So generally, when you give a large program, it is divided into chunks, or it is divided into pieces. Each piece can be named as a thread, and they run parallelly. Okay. In the sense, after executing one thread for a particular number of milliseconds, the processor will jump on to executing the other thread. As this is happening, as this switch between the threads is happening in microseconds, we will feel like the threads are getting executed parallelly. Okay, so it is an independent path of a program. Okay, we will say of a program. So to execute your application also, you need a thread. You need a thread for execution of a program. When you execute an application, for you need thread to run your app. So app runs on a thread called main thread. So it can be called as main thread, or you can also call it as UI thread. So your app runs on this thread. Your app runs on this thread. Now you may ask me, why do we want this? We want to do networking. Then why do we need to learn about main thread and UI thread? Main thread or UI thread? Why should I learn about it? Because if you do networking on this main thread or UI thread, what happens is you will get ANRs. ANR. It stands for application not responding. You will get this error. When do we get this error? If you give the networking task to this main thread or UI thread, whatever. I mean, both of them are same. If you give the task of performing the network request using the main thread, you will get this ANRs, application not responding errors. You might have seen it. You'll get a small pop-up, an alert dialog box like this. Your WhatsApp is not responding. Do you want to close it? Yes and no. Two buttons will be there. So these kind of errors or these kind of dialog boxes, have you seen? Have you seen on any application? If yes, give me a thumbs up. If no, can give me a thumbs down. Have you seen these kind of errors? Yeah, two people have seen it. Akanksha have seen it. Shweta, have seen it. Okay. Who else? Ishika. Ishika also have seen it. Good. Nice. So, not only network requests. If you give any long running task. So now you may ask me, what are long running tasks? So if you give a long running task, to be performed on a main thread or a UI thread, you get these ANRs. So network request is also a long running task. Why? Because it will take more time. Sometimes it will take very long time if the internet connection speed is low. Correct? So when you want to perform a long running operation, you are not supposed to perform it. You're not supposed to perform it on the main thread. Okay. You're supposed to create this long running task. You're supposed to offload this long running task, offload it to a worker thread or a thread in the background. This is accepted. Now, your main thread is not disturbed. You just offloaded this work to a worker thread. Okay. Now, let us see why is that. Let us understand why does your main thread or UI thread is not capable of performing longer operations, performing long running operations. First reason, main thread or UI thread, main or UI thread is responsible for drawing the UI. That is the very reason it cannot perform any other task. The second reason is being the most important reason. I will put a star mark here. The most important reason is being your main thread or UI thread, your main thread or UI thread must be updated, must be getting an update each 16 milliseconds. So tell me tell me in what cases can we do a network request which is in less than 16 milliseconds? Will that be possible? Give me a yes or a no in the chat. Can you do a network request in just 16 milliseconds? No, it is absolutely not possible. Even with 5G, I doubt it. Akansha is right. It is a no. So because what is 16 milliseconds? 1 second is equal to 1000 milliseconds. Right? So 16 milliseconds is equal to how many seconds? One by something, right? Let me do the proper calculation here. So 16 milliseconds is equal to how many seconds? 16 by 1000. It is very small fraction. Okay. So in that time, you cannot do an operation. Whatever the operation that you cannot do within 16 milliseconds time, yeah, correct, Bunty. You cannot give that to the main thread. If you give that task to main thread, as it is not getting the proper update in 16 milliseconds time, first it will freeze, second it throws an ANR, and third it crashes. These are done in a sequence. All right. So in order to avoid this, we have a built-in operation, built-in class called async task. Hmm. So uh, what do we do in async task? We'll see it in pictures. Okay. What is this? This is a rectangle. Don't say that it is a rectangle. This is actually, let's name it red. This is main thread. Okay. Okay. If it is not getting the update in 16 milliseconds time, it will crash. Okay. But keep that point in mind. So basically, there are two rules to remember. First rule is that do not block the main thread or UI thread with your operations. Second, do not access the Android UI toolkit, such as edit text boxes, buttons, text views, progress bars, everything. Do not access them from within the worker thread. From worker thread, you're not supposed to access these. All right. So what do? We have to create a worker thread in the same application. We'll call it worker thread. It will not live for a long time till we get the task done. It will live. That is why I'm drawing a small rectangle to represent the same. So this is called, let's say, worker thread. What is its task? Whatever the long running operation you give it, it has to run it. So what are some long running operations? What are some long running operations? We'll come back to that diagram, don't worry. What are some long running operations? First, network requests to fetch data or to send data. These are long running. Some scientific calculations. They might be long running. Scientific calculations, arithmetic operations, whatever. Network requests. I cannot think more of it. You can come up with more. So these are some long running operations. Yeah. Sorry. Image processing. Image processing. So this is the most general problem for image editing applications. If you have seen any like Pixar, there are many other image editing applications, right? I cannot get the names properly. So all these image processing is involved in the editor applications, in the editing applications. So that is also a long running operation. Every image processing is a long running operation. We also have something for security purposes. Decryption, encryption. This is also a long running operations. That is why two rules are given. Two rules are given when you are running these operations in the background. First thing, do not block UI. Do not block UI thread or main thread. Second, do not access the Android UI toolkit. Do not access Android UI toolkit from worker threads. Okay, these two rules must be remembered. Right, let us go back to the diagram. So in the worker thread, what has to be done? You have to perform the task. So if we use async task, to create this worker thread, how is the process going to be aligned? So we have a method called do in background. So what is the method name? The method name itself is do in background. So do in background. So we have this method. This performs the long running task. So main thread has to be giving this task to doing background. And once the doing background finishes off its task, it will have some results in hand. And those results will be given back to the main thread. Okay. So this particular doing background method runs on main thread. Sorry. I'm very sorry. This runs on the worker thread. It can take as much time as it needs, Bunty. Not too much time. There is a limitation. I'm not exactly sure about the number, but doing background can be given a task based on the network. Based on the network request, you can give it task, and doing background will perform it for you. Okay, it can take as much time as it needs, as far as I know. Okay. There must be a limitation. However, I don't know the number. Right. So in the same async task library, we also have helper methods involved. Okay, such as on pre-execute. This is a helper method that runs on the main thread from async task library. So what is its task? This runs on main thread. So what is its task? Its task is to set up your task. Set up the actual task that you want to run on the worker thread. Okay. And in order to publish the results, and process the results, we have a method from the same async task library, and that method is called on post execute. Very easy to remember. On post execute. Even this method runs on main thread. Don't get confused, guys. This method runs on main thread and from async task library only. Why is this happening? Why is this given like this? Because of these two rules. We cannot access the Android UI toolkit from worker thread. So from doing background method, if you try to access UI toolkit that is maintained and operated by main thread, it is an error. It is also an error. So that's why we have a helper method in async task that runs on the main thread, and it is called on post execute. Okay. There are other helper methods involved, such as publish progress. Okay. Let us write it in blue. Publish progress. On progress update. So on progress update runs on main thread and publish progress runs on worker thread. So that will communicate. Both of them will be in communication with each other. A on progress update will be publishing the progress to the user, such as how much percentage of the task is complete. Hope this is clear. So there are a lot of methods involved. However, these methods have their own task to do. Okay. So that is the reason when you give an async task, all right. So if you want to learn more about async task, explore more about async task, read some articles, or if you want to read, you can also read some articles. However, definitely go with this official documentation. Async task in Android. And async task is deprecated already. Deprecated in the sense removed. Removed off of the SDK. So if you are using the latest version of Android, you may not be able to get the appropriate outputs. However, this is important to learn so that you'll get some grip over the threads and runnables. Okay. Threads, runnables, handlers. These are all important. These are all core Java concepts, right? So async task is deprecated in level 30. API level 30 only it is deprecated. Now, in the place of async task, we use executors. Okay, that will be a different concept going forward. Let us not think much about it. But as of now, remember that async task is deprecated. We will also discuss the alternative that is available in the core SDK, and that is called executors. So executors are also not uh, tweaked based on, not tweaked for Android. It is used as we use it in the Java programming language. You must be knowing the executors by now. If not, don't worry. I'll teach you how executors work. So async task was intended to enable proper and easy use of the UI thread. However, the most common use case was for integrating into UI, and that would cause context leaks, missed callbacks, or crashes on configuration changes. It is also has inconsistent behavior on different versions of the platform, swallows exceptions from doing background, and does not provide much utility over using executors directly. That's why we went on to executors. But async task, if you see it properly, understand it properly, then it is it is there for you. So async task generic types. There are three generic types that you're supposed to give, just like it is there in this example. The first generic type is for doing background. So whatever the doing background input is there, that has to be the generic type for the async task. Second is integer, which means when you want to progress update, when you want to do a progress update, you will set this progress percentage to progress of 0 or 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And the last one is long, which is the written type of doing background and the input type of on post execute method. Because when the task is complete, the results have to be sent out to on post execute method. Right? Hope it is clear. I'll give you this link. I'll keep it in the notes. I'm not sure if I can draw here. Async task for long running operations. I think you can also look at this PPT. This is also a great PPT from Google Developers Training Team. If you see this, you'll understand it much better. Mm. Okay. Mm. Yeah. So you can go through these slides and you can also read this documentation. Now let us head to the library itself. Okay, you can learn more about it, like how the crash is happening. So these are some long running operations. So this is how you get the UI unresponsive dialogues. Okay, Banti Rathod is asking if we want to perform something, anything in background, we'll be using same for every time. This async task for too long operations. Example, movies, share, it takes 10 minutes. Right? See, async task is not the only networking library we have, or it is not the only library that we have for doing long running operations. This I have already explained. There is executors concept, there is a thread, there are threads, runnables, handlers, many things. Async task is one such kind of libraries which is present in the SDK. Now it is deprecated anyway, but it is quite helpful in understanding how this works in whole. Okay, as a whole, how does it work? Can be easily known if we work with async task. We will also see other third-party network libraries we have, such as Wally, Retrofit, and the others you can explore. If I just explain Wally and Retrofit. Okay, that is why executors will also be a separate topic for us because async task is deprecated. You don't know where to go. So I will also explain executors. You must be knowing executors already. However, if you do not know as well, don't get worried. I'll explain executors and I'll show you a simple example on the same. Okay, we'll use the same example. We'll see it in executors also. That way, it will be very much helpful for you to understand how executors work. Okay, right. So you can go through this presentation. Please go through this. Try to understand, but do not go to this async task loader because async task loader is deprecated long ago. So if you see async task loader in Android, if you go to this async task loader, what happens is you'll see that it is deprecated in API level 28 itself because it is not of great use. Okay, it's just to persist the UI across the orientation changes of an activity. Now it is deprecated happily. So you need not to go from slide number 30. I'll write it here. In the slides, please take a look till slide 29. Oh, cool. Fantastic. Now let us see which library we are going to use for this project. The library that we are going to use is Google Books API. So you know what is an API? What does an API stand for? It stands for Application Programming Interface. And these kind of APIs will make your task so easy to handle, right? It makes your task so easy to handle. Okay. Now, if you go to Google Books API, Google Developers, oh shit, there is a lot of documentation to read, but I'll show you a shortcut. All right. Integrate with Google Books repository. This one is sufficient. You can get started off it. Embedded viewer API is there to give you a proper functionality using HTML, JavaScript, etc. Only that is there, nothing else is there. You can go to getting started. Okay. Oh, lot of documentation. Okay, so this one I'm waiting for. So there is a GET request. The request types are many, guys. When you are getting some data, it is called GET request. When you are posting some data, it is called POST request. Similarly, we have update request, delete request, etc. GET is most commonly used. POST is also most commonly used. So if you see https ://www.googleapis.com/book/v1/volumes (?) q is equal to quilting. So this q is equal to quilting is called the query parameters. So the query is q is equal to and the parameters are quilting. Based on this, your search will happen on the library and you will get the data. For example, if I copy this link, paste it on the browser and hit OK, you get a JSON response. So this is JSON response. Okay. So this is JSON response. So if you give quilting as the query, you get books on quilting. If you see, start quilting is the title of the book. Everything first time quilters need to succeed. 8 quick projects, most in 4 sizes. That is the subtitle. Author is Alex Anderson. Okay. And the second book, where the hell is the second book? Yeah, here it is. Quilting Modern. Techniques and projects for improvisational quilts. Jackie Gale, Kate Pedersen. Okay. So if you give Android in the place of quilting, if you change this to Android, you get other kinds of books for Android. You get Android app development for dummies. Michael Burton is the author. Okay. So what is the second book name? Professional Android. Rito Meyer. Ian Lee. Third one is what? Teach yourself visually Android phones and tablets. Guy Hart Davis. So these are some results for Android. If you search for Java, You get the books related to Java, effective Java, Joshua Blush, mm, Thinking in Java by Bruce Ickel. Third one, How to Think Like a Computer Scientist. Sorry, that is subtitle. The title is Think Java. Alan B. Downey, Chris Mayfield. Other books also, whatever are available on the repository, are given out here. Along with these books, you also get additional information such as who is the publisher, what is the description of the book, what are the image thumbnails. You get these image thumbnails directly. You can open them and see the thumbnail of the book. Along with this, you also have got preview link. So preview link helps you to see the book to a small extent. Okay. So all these things are there, but we will be making use of a few things from here because we have other libraries to explore, which are way beautiful than this. All right. This is a JSON response, guys. All this is JSON response. So when you want to publish data or post data, or when you want to get data, update, delete, whatever the modifications that you want to do with an API, with a RESTful service, RESTful web service, yes, you will do it usually with Java, sorry, with JavaScript object notation format alone. However, this is not readable, isn't it? That is why you can jump into JSON formatter. If you search for JSON formatter, you get huge number of links. I go to jsonformatter.curiousconcept.com and paste my entire JSON response here and process it. So if you see, you're getting one single JSON object as the response. If you open it, you see that there are many items as an array. So how do I know that this is an object and this is an array? Because of the brackets. You have code blocks here. Code blocks represent JSON object. A pair of code blocks or a pair of flower brackets, they represent JSON object. And a pair of square brackets, they represent a JSON array. Okay. So if you open this array and see, there are multiple items in this array, right? And each item has got the same structure. So this should be the same case with all the other APIs or RESTful web services that you will be working with. All these objects which are inside the items are of the same structure. So each object in the items have got kind, which is a string, ID, which is a string, e-tag, which is a string, self-link, which is a URL, volume info is another object, sale info is another object, access info is another object, search info is another object. So the same kind of objects you will have, kind, ID, e-tag, self-link, volume info is an object, sale info, access info, search info. If you see, you have got these items aligned in the proper way. So kind comes first, ID comes second, ID comes second, e-tag comes next, e-tag comes next. Then self-link, yes, self-link. Volume info, sale info, access info, search info. And even volume info object in the first item and the volume info object in the second item and the other items, the structure is the same. The data changes. These identifiers are same, but the data changes on the right. If you see, the title is effective Java, authors is an array. Only we have one author, that is Joshua Blush. And then publisher, published date, description, everything is in string format. Now we have got industry identifiers, which are book numbers and what are the book numbers and what is the identifier of it. So we don't need these industry identifiers. However, if you need it, there is an array of some number of objects. How many other identifiers are there for a book? Those many identifiers will be coming in. Now we also have reading modes, page count, print. So page count is an integer. Print type is a book. Average rating is 5. Rating count is 5. Maturity rating is not mature. Penalization summary, everything is there. Image links is there. Small thumbnail and thumbnail, which will get us, these links will get us the thumbnails of that book. Then we have language, previewing, info link, canonical, volume link, etc. So the same is the case with the second object. Second object's volume info object. All right. So in the second object's volume info object, you see title, authors, description, and then industry identifiers, reading modes, categories, penalization summary, image links, etc. So all this is properly formatted. Correct. It is up to you to which data you would like to use it. Now, the first step involves us getting this data. Okay. I think it will be better if we start off this project tomorrow because it is 7:50 now. Even if we take another 20 minutes or 25 minutes, we will not be able to finish this project off. So shall we postpone it to tomorrow if that is fine with all of you? Conceptual understanding is given today. So tomorrow we will see a practical on this for async task. Maybe if we are able to complete it tomorrow itself, then we will see executors the day after. Thanks, Akansha, for your note. Thanks, Ravi Kiran, for a positive note. All right, then. So we'll close it for today. So the notes is given in the classroom. You can go through it. Here it is, the notes. Where is it? Yeah. No, where is it? Yeah, here it is. Classwork is there. Please go through this, read this. Tomorrow we will discuss how this works in practical. Right. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day ahead. Happy Monday. Enjoy your time. Take care. Bye.